What is up, guys? Pie Muffin here. Today we're going to be talking about Colette Brunel from Tales of Symphonia and why I believe she had the darkest story of all of the Tales characters in the franchise to date. So, we start off, Colette has an upbringing that she is the chosen one and she is going to lead this life knowing that she's going to have to sacrifice herself at the age of, I believe she was 16, when she undertook the journey of regeneration for the world. So, at a very young age, I'm sure, her parents waited till the age of probably 5 or 6 just so she could understand the gravity of what she was doing, maybe even younger, that her life was basically just to regenerate the world, resupply the world of mana, and die in the process. Lose your humanity, become an angel, forget everything. So, this caused her to gain a very selfless nature, and we kind of see that even before the journey kind of starts. She's always kind of worrying about others. She's always worried about what Lloyd's going to think of her actions. So having this knowledge that she was going to sacrifice herself was definitely something that maybe shaped her personality as a human being. But moving forward, so we know the journey of regeneration starts. She tries to keep Lloyd out of it because she cares so much about him and not about herself. She doesn't want the closest person to her to get involved. So that's step one, pushing the most important person in her life away. He was going to join her on the journey the following day, her birthday. Well, her birthday was actually that day, and then the day after they went on the trip. But she lies, and they leave without him. He wakes up, he goes to town, and they're already gone. Him and Genus are left behind. And if you want to go to the actual, the anime adaptation part, Colette actually did see the pastors that she grew up being taught under just get murdered by Desians. Or, I believe those were actually the Renegades. It wasn't the Desians who did that. No, wait. No, it's the other way around. Those were the Desians, and then the ones who attacked the village afterwards were the Renegades. But moving forward, so we get to the first seal. Each seal locks away a part of her humanity. My apologies. Not really locks it away, but takes it away from her. So, I believe first she lost her appetite, so she no longer wanted to eat. And then as time goes on to each seal, she loses the ability to feel. She loses the ability to talk. And then finally, she just completely becomes an angel when they do the final seal at the Tower of Salvation. But just, can you imagine going through this entire journey, not even the journey, just living to the age from probably age 5 to age 16, knowing, hey, when I reach age 16, I'm going to have to go on this journey that I'm probably no, not even probably. She knew she was either going to die during the journey or she was going to die after it when she became an angel. And I just think that's a super, to put that kind of burden on a child like that, and a child with her kind of personality. I don't understand how she didn't just break down from everything, but she's clearly a very strong individual, that's for sure. So, we get to that part. She has accepted kind of her fate as she's going on this journey. She's losing all these parts of her humanity, but she also doesn't want to burden her friends with it, so she keeps it to herself. Lloyd kind of suspects something when she's not eating, but it really doesn't come out into the open until Lloyd actually hands her a cup of scalding hot, I think it was tea or something. It was tea or water. And she's just holding it like it's nothing. She's just holding this. It's like if you were to take a scalding hot coffee cup right after it's done and just hold it in your bare hands. Not covering or anything. She was just holding it, and he looks at her hand, and that's what gives it away. And of course, he freaks out and yells at her for not coming to him, and then she's just sad. She was like, I'm sorry. But moving on, so not only does she have to deal with her humanity being taken, she has to deal with all the stress that all of her friends and people around her are kind of giving her. And just the stress of this journey, she's always probably thinking, oh God, like what's going to happen if Lloyd gets mixed up in this, or if this happens to Lloyd, blah, blah, blah. So she's got all this stuff going on in her head and all these things happening to her. It's mind-boggling how she manages to just cope with it all. And then you get to the point where she finally has to say goodbye to Lloyd, and then her mind is just, bam, zapped like that. Of course, things get interrupted, and they get away with Colette's body, I guess, is because her mind's no longer in there. She basically just becomes a self-defense mechanism that, no one can really get near. But the whole thing gets interrupted. They escape to Tetheala, and they're trying to go on this whole journey to try and fix everything. And at this point, there's nothing in her body right now, so she's not dealing with anything because there's nothing to deal with. Her mind is currently gone. Or, I guess it's led to believe that it's more locked away in her subconscious right now, and she just can't access anything throughout her body, I guess is a simple way of putting it. But we get to the point, let's move on later to when Martel actually does get revived in Colette's body. Colette's still in there, they probably have a conversation, whatnot, since they're both in the same body. And eventually Colette does get her, her mind back inside her body. But even after that, then she still has to deal with, the world might be destroyed. Once the mana's been stripped away, the world will just die. So she has to deal with that again, and she has to come to the realization that, oh, this journey of regeneration, all this crap I had to go through for the last 10, 11 years of my life, it means nothing. All of it was for nothing. So she's going to feel down about that. Even if she doesn't outwardly show it, she's still got to have that kind of guilt on her. It's like, oh, if I hadn't been so stupid, maybe I could have blah, blah, blah. That's probably all the stuff she's thinking, since she's always apologizing. I'm sorry, that's her thing. Plus, she's super clumsy, but usually her clumsiness helps in a good way most of the time. So then we kind of get towards more of the climax of the game, or the anime, whichever one you saw. And she has to be responsible, as well as everyone else, for basically, killing Mythos. They have to take him out because obviously he's just going to be a threat to the whole world. They had to deal with the whole thing that, Zelos betrayed them. Spoiler alert, obviously. So even after, realizing that everything she did to become, the Chosen and regenerating the world, after realizing that that was for nothing, she also has to deal with this next oncoming threat. And she also has to worry about Lloyd, because Lloyd finds out that Kratos is his father, and he's all messed up because of that. She's always worrying about all her other friends. Then you get to basically the end, where everyone's kind of sacrificing themselves one by one so that, so Lloyd can get there. And then they all group up to battle Mythos, and, that's finally, at the end of the whole Mythos battle, is finally when she can kind of be like, alright, well, I can finally relax, the world's safe, everyone's okay, we can all move on with our lives. But we're not done. She gets about 2 years of, I guess, relaxing as the Chosen One until Dawn of the New World happens, and then that's when shit hits the fan again. She's constantly being blamed by people all around the planet, why didn't you do anything about what happened in Paul Acosta? Why didn't you, help anyone? You just ran away. So now she's feeling that guilt again because she was trying to find Lloyd to kind of situate this whole situation. That was really not a good way of putting that. But anyways, obviously, if you know Dawn of the New World, dude was, I don't even remember the guy's name, but his power was basically morphing his body into someone else. He paraded around as Lloyd and was killing people. Paul Acosta, there was a whole murder spree. That's where Marta and Emil came from, their families. And Marta, blamed Colette for a good portion of the game. That was her main thing. She wanted to find the Chosen and ask, why didn't you do anything? And obviously, Colette's initial response wasn't anything too special, so Marta didn't accept it. She slapped her. So, even after this whole journey of regeneration thing, she's still being blamed for everything that happened. even, the world tree, doing what it did caused a lot of chaos and damage. So even when she was trying to do everything and be as selfless as she could to try and save the world, the aftermath, she still gets blamed for it. So just take everything I just explained and put it into one, 15, 16-year-old girl who's going to be able to handle something like that. But anyways, guys, post your comments down below. Let me know what you think about all of this. I'm sure I missed a couple of points, but I feel like I went over most of the stuff that Colette went through. And I'll probably do this for a bunch of other Tales characters, because usually in every Tales game you can find 2 or 3 characters who have a really shitty and messed up past, or even just, character arcs that I'll probably go over. So hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I'll see you all next time.